So you just learned your mother has died. You're confused, you're sad, you don't know what to do. Well, let's talk about it next on Ask the Adjutant.
Call on, call on, call on, CounselorMengesha. He will fight for your rights with all of his might. He's Mengesha.
Greetings and salutations. I am Captain Tom Mengesha, United States Army retired and the former adjutant for Base Support Battalion North out of Camp Buren, Kuwait. Folks, I received an email the other day from a viewer. We'll call him Martin Arthur. And he said to me, Tom, I know that you served in the military and you investigated deaths of service members and did various things. And he wanted to know if I could give him some advice on some situation that happened. His mother recently passed. And so that made me think of an article that I recently came across. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to share that article with you. And hopefully you may find some peace, much that I hope my viewer, Martin Arthur, received as well. Now, this article posted on Very Well Mind talked about how to deal with the death of your mother. And it pointed out that the death of a mother is one of the hardest things that most people will ever go through in life. Now, whether you had a great relationship with your mother or a hard relationship or somewhere in between, this event will likely have a significant impact on your life. Now, in one survey, it found that 20 to 30% of the participants stated that losing a loved one was one of the most traumatic events in their lives, among others who had reported that 11 or more traumatic events over the course of their life. Now, for that group, 22% still ranked the loss of a loved one as the most traumatic event. Now, you may ask yourself, now, why the death of a mother is so hard? Now, whether you are grieving the death of a mother who birthed you or a mother figure who raised you, you are either grieving the bond you had or the bond that you wished you had. Now, similarly, there was a British psychologist who believed that children are born with a drive to seek attachment with their caregivers. Now, while others before him may believe that attachment was food motivated, he believed that attachment formed based on nurturing and responsiveness can be just as strong. Therefore, it makes sense that the grieving attachment or lack thereof would be incredibly difficult. Now, a mother is such an integral part of our lives and our society, in part because we are not raised in communities with a variety of caretakers, says Liz Bannell, who is a psychologist and a psychiatrist who has done research on mother loss and resilience. Now, her research specifically focused on adult women who had lost their mothers as children and have found that they scored lower on resilience than those who had not lost their mother as children. And so that can also, one can extrapolate from that, if you did not have a strong bond with your mother growing up, that could certainly have effects as you become older as an adult. While mother's loss differ from others in some key ways, some of the same effects that come from any kind of loss or bereavement are present. Some thoughts and feelings typically of grief are shock, numbness, sadness, disbelief, confusion, difficulty concentrating, and yes, believe it or not, anger. Now, less known is the grief can show up physically. In addition to the more known mental or spiritual indications in your body, grief may look like digestive problems, for example, or energy loss, nervousness, or sleep disturbances, weight changes, or nervousness. Now, weight changes is very interesting. You know, I've been known to be an emotional eater. I eat when I'm happy, I eat when I'm sad. So I can imagine what my viewer, Martin Arthur, is going through. And I'm just wondering if he is experiencing those same weight changes. Now, there are also risks of psychiatric disorders. In others, however, a loss of a loved one may activate mental health disorders, even in those with no history of mental illness. Now, one study found an increased risk for the following disorders, in addition to discovering a new link between mania and loss. For example, there's major depressive disorder, panic disorders, and there's also post-traumatic stress, particularly if the loss of your mother was sudden. Now, specifically in adults over the age of 70, there's manic episodes, there's phobias, alcoholic use disorders, and I believe my viewer, Martin Arthur, I believe he indicated he's in his 50s. So alcoholic use disorder or generalized anxiety disorders. Now, we might also want to ask, well, what is complex bereavement? So how should you deal with the death of a mother? When loss is fresh, it feels like you feel that way forever, but you won't. If you allow yourself, for example, time to grieve, and if others allow you time to grieve, says a particular psychiatrist, you will probably notice that the really intense feelings will lessen as time goes by, a few months, and certainly a few years after the death of your mother. Now, this psychiatrist, and her name is Shamatz Bitmil, says that while most people intuitively realize it can be hard to lose a mother, they do not realize quite how hard it can be or how long it could take. People in our society often think we can move through grief in a month and be done with it. Now, that is a very important statement that this psychiatrist pointed out. You should never allow someone to tell you that you should just get over it, or it'll get better. You should be allowed the freedom to grieve and to recover and heal in your own time. Everyone is different. So never succumb to anyone telling you or pushing you to get on with your life. Now, you should also talk to a professional. Well, as I finish up my second master's as a clinical mental health professional, I can tell you, particularly having done my internship and continuing working on my internship, working with adults, teens, and preteens, the loss of a mother can certainly be traumatic. And what has helped has been regular, consistent contact with a mental health professional to help you deal with the emotional ups and downs and feelings that you have going through this. And you also may find a community or network of people who have had similar loss, who have expertise in dealing with loss to help you deal with the loss of your mother. So, to my viewer, Martin Arthur, I want to thank you for sending me this question to ask the adjutant. And I want you to know that you are in my thoughts, in my prayers, and I wish you peace that surpasses all understanding. And to any of my viewers, if you have a question for Ask the Adjutant, go ahead and leave a comment down below. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and subscribe. I'm sure you will not be disappointed. So, with that, I wish you all blessings and blessings. Shalom.
Call on, call on, call on. Thomas Mengesha. He will fight for your rights with all of his might. He's Mengesha.